Social scientists have learned in recent years that chance events, things we don't think much about, have an unusually strong influence in shaping our lives, much more than we realize. Successful people in particular seem more unaware of the influence of chance events than others, and that has policy implications that are of concern to us, or at least ought to be, so I will argue. We notice luck when it happens in a conspicuous way. If you win the lottery, nobody has any trouble at all saying that person was really lucky. It's interesting that they themselves invent narratives whereby they used unusual insight and skill in picking the numbers that enabled them to win the lottery, but I think most of us recognize that the winners were really, really lucky. There can be bad luck as well as good luck. This is an event that happened here in the UK some years ago. The man in the bow tie, that's Mike Edwards. I see faces in the room old enough to remember the ELO, the Electric Light Orchestra. He was the cellist in the founding members of that group. He was driving along a rural roadway in England when on the top of a steep hillside, a bale of hay that weighed 1,300 pounds that had been moored there but somehow broke free of its moorings and started tumbling down the mountainside, gathering speed. It hit a berm, it catapulted over a high fence and landed right on the roof of his cab as he was driving by, killing him instantly. We have no trouble recognizing that he was the victim of bad luck. But mostly luck doesn't play out in such conspicuous ways. I don't claim any special quality of perspicaciousness that I notice luck more than other people. It's just I was hit over the head with it in very blunt ways multiple times, and hence my interest in it. But Paul Lazarsfeld, a sociologist in the 1940s, explained that we don't notice the importance of chance events because they play out in very subtle ways typically. He coined the term hindsight bias. And he illustrated it with a very interesting experiment. He approached subjects and told them that a study had been done in which the aim had been to figure out whether it was men who had grown up on farms or men who had grown up in cities who were more able to adjust to the rigors of military life. Which group did better when they were sent into the service? And he explained to the subjects he was interviewing that the study had found that it was men who had grown up on farms who adjusted more readily. The reaction of subjects on hearing that was the one he expected. Well, of course, why would anybody need to do an expensive study to find out that? And the twist, of course, was that there had been a study, and what it found was that it was the men from cities who were much better able to adjust to the rigors of military life. But his point in this exercise was to demonstrate that if you thought you knew the outcome, it would be a simple matter indeed to construct a plausible narrative that would explain why, of course, that had to have been the outcome. Life is complex. Each career, each life entails thousands, maybe tens of thousands of steps. Some of them are the ones we expect. Others are quirky. If any one step is different, all the steps that occur afterwards, which depend on that step, will be subtly different, and those differences ramify step by step. The tape, if we played it again, would end up somewhere very different from where it ended up this time. And we just don't think of things that way. We see an outcome, we explain it, and then we feel like we're done. You've played Scrabble. This is from experiments done in the lab. Did you get good letters? People have been asked that. Oh, I got a bunch of I's and not a single consonant worth more than a point. What about your opponent? Oh, he got an X, a Q, a Z. He had all the great letters. Well, if you play the game many times, you'll get good letters and bad letters. But people, when they're asked about this, report that they got bad letters and their opponents got good letters. I asked Princeton's very able publicity director, whether people in the UK would understand a reference to Breaking Bad. She assured me that they would. The critics all really certified that it was an incredibly well done series, and the success of it has been attributed to many factors, but one of the most important ones is the portrayal of the Walter White character, the leading character in the series, by Bryan Cranston. And it's an interesting story of how he came to be cast in that role. Vince Gilligan, the producer of the series, wanted to cast him straight away. The studio bosses, who were preparing to spend an awful lot of money on this series, said no. We want somebody with a reputation, somebody who's had leading dramatic roles and can help lure an audience. That's a reasonable position. It had two actors in mind, John Cusack and Matthew Broderick. I still have a very hard time imagining Broderick in the role of Walter White. But it turns out that neither man expressed any interest in the role. I wonder how they feel about that now. Anyway, the series was incredibly successful. It won Emmys for the best dramatic series in each of its seasons. Walter White was the best dramatic actor winner in 4 of the 5 seasons. He's the most sought-after actor in his slice of the demographic today, but he'll be the first to tell you if you don't get a lucky break, you're nothing in that business.
Thank you.